Hello, I'm back. I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back. This is the Dave Live series, and it's not the World Series. I got Jim Cramer in the background listening to his sage wisdom. Is that repetitive? Sage wisdom? Is that a redundancy? A dumb C? Word I'm making up? Hi, guys, I'm Dave. Hi, gals, I'm Dave. Please feel this chat. Let me just tone that sound down in the background. I don't want to be upstaged by Jim Cramer. I don't think I will, but just I have him take a sound chill pill. It's always a thrill to come on and do my thing with you. So once again, how do you do? This is Tuesday, September 12th of our Lord and Savior. I hate when people say that. It's crazy, man. I don't want to, I'm just joking around. I don't want to get into that. But I think you know what I mean. I'm here to talk about different things, whatever comes to my mind, but also things that have happened of late. So take the bait. Don't masturbate. This isn't for kids. Just don't do it here when you're watching my show. I hope I don't turn people on that way, but I just want to keep it clean, somewhat obscene, but mainly pristine. I'm drinking decaf coffee here, Maxwell House. I got this cup in a liquor store for $1, Bayside. I just want to talk about, me. Can't you see that I am trying to come up with something? I've got things. I don't have to rush, and that's what's nice. I got this on ice, and it's taped. I'm a little tired, but I'm worn out today. I worked out in the gym. I got my steps in. I got over 11,000 steps. Steps can be accumulated in different ways on my iPhone, not necessarily just walking. They have some machines. I sit down and I do it with my arm like this. Then I do the rope. I'm pulling down the rope like this. I got my iPhone here and it counts as steps. So thankfully, I can accumulate over 10,000 steps. I do rowing too. You row and your feet are out and you're pulling your feet. I have a sensitive area in both my knees. I hate to say the technical term, but it's osteoarthritis. Diagnosed and confirmed when I had 2 MRIs done on my knees about a month ago. I'm sure you've heard of magnetic resonating imaging or whatever it is, but it's pretty rigorous. It takes 12 minutes on each knee, and there's a lot of noise generated by the machine. So they gave me earplugs and then headphones on top of that, so I wouldn't be overwhelmed by the noise. But just sitting in that position, laying there on my back with my knees, one knee after another. They put the one knee into like a brace or something, and they did that for 12 minutes, and they did my other one. I think they had to restart on my first one. They said they were mumbling I was moving too much or whatever, but man, I didn't think I was going to make it. After a while, it just seemed to go on and on and on. I said, what did I get into this time? And I got through the first one, and then they just rushed to do the second one. I didn't even say anything about, well, I don't think I can do the second one. It crossed my mind, but I just went with the flow and got the second one done. There was no mistakes, so the 12 minutes seemed like 6 minutes or whatever. And I got the results, and they sent them on the internet. They showed the pictures and the analysis, the breakdown, and then they sent them by mail. So they're very thorough. Lenox Hill Hospital X-rays, or Lenox. They're with Lenox. This is in New York City. I'm covered by Medicare and by my secondary insurance, so I don't have to pay a lick. And that's good, because I want to be able to afford this. And I saw an orthopedic doctor after, and he gave me a medication to take, and he gave me a prescription to go to a physical therapy. And I went to my second session today, and they're very good. They give me exercises for my knees to work on, and my right knee is problematic for me when I'm walking. It just kind of hurts, and I really got to gut it out. If you can't walk in New York City, you're in trouble. So I'm taking measures to mitigate this, so down the road I won't have a catastrophic situation where I won't be able to walk. I'm trying to deal with this now the best way I can. I stay in my neighborhood, basically the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and I get around okay. I get to the gym and I do those exercises, and then a couple of days a week, including tomorrow, I have to go to work in Bayside, Queens, and that's becoming more and more challenging because I have to schlep to the subway and walk down the steps, which can be painful. I have to take my time to kind of go sideways, and then I'm sitting down. I take the train from LA, the LIRR, Long Island Railroad, from Penn Station to Bayside. I get out. I take a bus, the 13 bus that goes not far from where I work, about a mile away or so, on Northern Boulevard. So it goes down Bell, and then it goes down Northern. On the way home, I usually go back up, take the bus up, and then up, or I walk up sometimes, because the 12 bus comes across. It doesn't go up. The 13 bus goes down and over. Sometimes I take the bus the opposite direction, and there's a section called Broadway that's right after Auburndale. Auburndale is after Bayside, and then you have Murray Hill, then you have Flushing. Sometimes I go to Flushing on the weekends, on Saturdays when I work, to go get my hair cut. I'm needing a haircut, and here in Manhattan where I live, it's $30 plus tip. At least that's what it was the last time I was here. So I'm figuring $40 more or less. You guys do a good job. They need the money, and they go $30 or whatever, and I give them the $2.20s. I say keep the change, and they're really happy. But in Flushing, there's a Chinatown section of Flushing. It's Chinese, and the haircuts there are $8. What the heck? And the damnedest thing is they do just as good as a job or better than the ones that charge $30. They're well schooled. They're well trained. I have a couple ladies and a guy at this place I go to of late, and I give them. A lot of times I give them like $15. That's like a $7 tip. That's $8 plus $7 tip. That's like almost 100% tip. And that's still, I make it out like a bandit. And they do just as good of a job. But now, because my knee has been hurting me, I'm saying, well, listen, I don't know if I want to go walk up those stairs. You got to walk up a couple flights of stairs and then walk back down when you're done. And I used to have no problem doing that in my mind, but now with my knee, my right knee especially, it gives me trepidation. And I don't know if I have the preparation to go up the stairs and back down. But, I'd say damn the torpedoes. I'm going to do it. I can't let that hold me back. I'm taking these measures now. I'm exercising. I'm taking physical therapy. I'm taking the medication. And then I have 24 sessions that were prescribed to me with the physical therapy. And then after that, I'll go see the doctor again, the orthopedic doctor. And then we'll take it to the next step if things aren't improved. And I don't know if they will be. So there's a good chance I'm going to have something done on my knees. But I don't want to do them both at the same time. I've never heard from anyone to do both knees. And we're talking about possible surgery as in knee replacement, possibly. There's other measures before that, like injections, like a steroid injection or a cell injection. They put this liquid stuff in there, and then there's this blood thing injection where it's not covered by my insurance, so I'm not going to do that. Because if this one's covered by my insurance, I'd be paying so much money, I couldn't afford it. And I'm thankful that I am covered, and I feel bad for people that aren't covered. I have a girlfriend from the Philippines, and she told me over there in the third world countries, if you don't have any money, they won't do anything for you in the hospital. They treat you like garbage, she said. And I'm sad because she has her dad who's 88 years old, and he's on his last legs, and it sounded like she needed some money. But I'm on a budget with my money. I've been taking care of that little honey financially. And I told her I barely have enough for just me and you, not for a dog named Boo or anybody else. A wandering Jew. They just seem to rhyme. I don't want to be anti-Semitic or nothing. I'm just coming up with a rhyme. So I hope you don't consider that a crime if you're watching. But after all, I went by the name Dave Gold, which is mostly considered probably as a Jewish name. And I did that as my TV show for many years. I came up with it. So when I write things, I create things a lot of times. Not here it says Dave Sweeney, but I write poems and plays or whatever. I put Dave Sweeney Gold. I put gold in parentheses. So I went to this modeling agency, Flaunt, Flaunt, and I talked to the owner. He brought me in. They saw my pictures, and I did some modeling, some print work. I don't think I got anything per se with them, but they took me on, and he said to me, Dave Sweeney Gold, or she goes, "Are you Jewish like that?" And I said, "No." Well, let me give you the story. My dad is not Jewish. My mom is. So he goes, then that means you're a Jew because your mother is what counts. But I'm not really Jewish. I wasn't really trying to do it for that reason. I just had this story about how I got the name Dave Gold. I said, Mom, I'm going to go into show business. And I decided to use your name, which was Gold. Her Goldman. It was Goldman, her maiden name. She goes, no, son, you mustn't do that. You must use Sweeney. That name is as good as gold. Drums roll. And I came up with that. And it was kind of, people kind of laughed at that. There's this guy, Joe Franklin, who was a big entertainer in New York. And one of these ladies was on my show, brought me to him, and I talked to him, and I told him that story. And he kind of chuckled and said, half scotch, half soda. So I started to use that, and people started to laugh. So it's a gas. Jumping Jack Flash is a gas. But I don't want to come across as a rhyming ass for any of you young lass out there. But I did this the other night. I started to talk about something like what's going on now, and then I go off on a tangent. And I'm taking an end run, but I'm coming back around onto the playing field now, and I want to talk about sports a little bit. Last night, there was a big debut for Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets. He was a quarterback. They had this TV show on HBO covering them, First and 10 or whatever. Hard Knocks, not First and 10. That was a show with O.J. Simpson in the late 80s on HBO, and I was a background on that once, or I was supposed to be a background. I ended up going home. It was like on a weekend, and it was like 85, 90 degrees. It was really smoking hot out there in the San Fernando Valley, and I got out there, and I decided I wasn't going to stay. I just took off. I said, screw it. But I saw OJ walking around. He was kind of like, hey, like he is a hero. You know, people saying, OJ, you know. This was before the murders happened. This was like in the late 80s. So it was maybe 5 years before all that nonsense happened, 3 or 4 years or whatever. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be the big savior from Green Bay, playing for the Jets, and he made it through 4 plays. And he tore his Achilles tendon. He was scrambling, trying to run away from the defensive back, and he kind of twisted and turned, and he went down kind of awkwardly, and then he got up, and he sat himself back down, and those were all the telltale signs that he couldn't even stand on his feet, couldn't put weight on it, that he had torn his Achilles tendon. It's sad. They say the artificial turf there is kind of sketchy out there in the former Meadowlands, which is now Giant Jet Stadium, but he's trying to scramble, and to follow the Tom Brady formula, Tom Brady would just go back, and then he would immediately see someone and throw it or throw the ball away. He didn't even give them time to come in and hit him. And Rodgers came out ready to scramble all over the place, which one's as smart. You know, he just, his body at 38, 39 years old is not equipped to handle all these sudden moves and gestures. And if he just played it smart to the vest like Tom Brady, he would have been fine. So now they're saying he'll be out for the season, and they're asking, will he ever come back? It's kind of a tough injury to overcome at that age, and there's no reason why he really has to come back. He's won a Super Bowl with Green Bay. He's won 4 MVP awards. I think he won the Super Bowl MVP too the year he won the. No, I don't know if he did or not. Yes, he did. He did. Yeah. Brett Favre didn't win it because Desmond Howard was on the team and he ran back a couple of touchdowns, kickoff returns or whatever, caught a long pass, and Favre didn't win. But I think Rodgers won. But anyway, he doesn't need to come back. And we'll see how this season goes without him. Now they got this Wilson guy from BYU. I used to call him quarterback punk, like Keanu Reeves and that movie. What was that movie? Print Out or Die. He played the FBI agent undercover with Patrick Swayze was the bad guy, and Gary Busey was his FBI partner. And yeah, but they called him. He was from Ohio State, and Gary Busey at the beginning goes, I get assigned with this quarterback punk from Ohio State. And then that's funny, but this Wilson guy from BYU, he just looks like a baby face punk, and he plays like a punk too. They say he runs backwards when he starts to go back in the pocket and people run in. He starts running back 10, 15, 20 yards. Now he's real deep. If he gets sacked, it's disastrous. And he ends up throwing some wild ball, and it ends up getting intercepted. So last year he was terrible. The Jets, they could have made the playoffs, but they couldn't overcome his play. And now we're back to square one. It's going to be the same thing this year. So, oh, well, I was saying get Tom Brady. Tom Brady could come out of retirement and play. That would knock New York City on his heels. That would be even bigger than Rodgers. And if he did really good, like he did with Tampa Bay, he left New England, then he led Tampa Bay to a Super Bowl the first year. And he has a similar type team. He has a team, Well, I mean, it's not his team. He didn't join them, but the Jets had the same type of team. They have a really dynamic defense. They have a lot of offensive players that are weapons, running back and receivers. The one drawback is they don't seem to have a good offensive line, and Tampa did at the time to protect Brady, and that could be disastrous if he came back and he started getting a lot of sacks. This guy last year, Mike White, he filled in for Wilson against the Buffalo Bills. Was up in Buffalo, and he got sacked around 7 or 8 times, and he broke 4 ribs. The guy was playing. He played good the week before, something real good against a team, but the Bills didn't give him a chance, and they were just teeing off on him. They were coming full speed, and he was courageously waiting to throw the ball. Then as he released it, the guy would come right into his ribs, and he broke 4 ribs. And Wilson was playing so bad that they got him playing again in a couple of weeks, and he wasn't healed yet. So he's now with Miami. He's the backup for Tua, that Hawaiian wonder who went to Alabama and won the Heisman. He bumped Jalen Hurts out of that starting job, and Hurts went to Oklahoma, and he had a great year. And then he ended up in the NFL with Philadelphia, and he took him to the Super Bowl last year. I mentioned how he blew it on that one play, though. He fumbled the ball, and they picked it up and ran it in the end zone, and that was like the big difference in the game. So unless you win it all, well, you got to the finals, and you could always say that, but it's not remembered. That kind of gets me to the U.S. Open. Coco Gauff won the U.S. Open title. She won her first, and she's 19 years old. So no matter what's done or not done now, going forward, she's won that U.S. Open. You can't take that away. That's in the record book. Djokovic won his 24th. Now, Goff, I will surmise, will be somewhere between 1 and 24 when her career is over. Serena Williams has 23 majors. Goff is only 19. She could conceivably go way up there, but that's an awful lot of tournaments to win, majors. It's incredible. Djokovic has 24. Nadal had 22, I think now, and he got hurt. He didn't play this year. And I think Federer has 20 or 21. But until those guys came along and they were more or less playing together, Federer was a few years older than Djokovic and Nadal. They're about the same age. Pete Sampras had gotten to 14 majors, and before that, Rod Laver had 11. And those were considered the cornerstones. Jimmy Connors had like 8 or 9. McEnroe had 7. And to win that many majors is really good. But Djokovic, 24. And he didn't even play in the U.S. Open. He wasn't allowed to play last year because he refused to be vaccinated. And the year before that, he lost to the guy he beat this time, Medvedev. And then during the Medvedev, Danil, his first name is Danil, Medvedev. It's funny, Medvedev, Medvedev. He's Russian, but they let him play. But then in the pandemic, he was playing without a crowd, and this was hilarious, but not for him. But he had a little bit of a temper, and he turned and he made a bad shot, and he hit the ball, and it ended up hitting the ball boy right in the nuts. Or it was a lady right in the stomach, and she kind of fell to the ground. And he tried to run up and say, "Are you all right?" But he was disqualified from the U.S. Open because of that. And then this Austrian guy, diminutive player, beat Zverev, the big German, lanky German, and Djokovic would have won that one. He might have won last year. So, I mean, he could very well hit. And they didn't let him play in the Australian Open either last year. He played this past year and he won, but the year before, he didn't have his visa. They wouldn't let him in because he didn't get vaccinated. So I'm saying he hits 24 now. He could very well be at 27 or 26. and he's going to keep playing now, and he's going to try to one more, and he beats Margaret Court. Margaret Court was a great lady who played. She was from Australia. She won 24. They say a lot of her matches, the competition wasn't as good, but she is 24, and they recognize it. Serena fell short at 23. Her last 5 finals, she lost. I mean, she was good enough to get there, and she was getting old, and she got blown away. His last 4 or 5, I mean, it was, yeah, that's tough, because up until then, she was nearly unbeaten when she got to the finals. She only had a couple, she had like 23 and 4 or 5, and then she lost 4 or 5 straight to some of these young women who were coming up, and they saw a chance to get Canadian. There's a couple others. When Halep and the German lady, I forgot her name, but Halep was just banned for 4 years for using like illegal substances, and boy, that's tarnished her reputation. She won 3 majors. I think she won a French and a Wimbledon, and I don't know if she won a U.S. or an Australian, but she can't play anymore. So time's running down. I've been going on sports all of a sudden. It's not a bad topic to talk about, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't see anybody chatting with me, but maybe you're shy. That's what they said in 3 Days of the Condor. Are you shy? Because I'm not shy, Condor, like that. I just don't know why or who's doing this, and that's what scares me. They're talking about the CIA within the CIA, and that's a pretty good movie I always can watch over and over again. Point Break is the one with Keanu Reeves. Point Break. They did a remake just a few years back, and it was terrible, god awful. I don't know why they did a remake on some of these classics, but this has been a classic, and I'm winding down. I'm under a minute to go. So I hope you liked my show. Once again, hopefully I put you in the know, and there was a nice, easy flow to this, and I feel a lot of bliss. If you look in the background behind me, you see some medications. I have to take 2 or 3 pills, one for high blood pressure and one for asthma or whatever. I've been taking them, and we're down on the countdown, so I got to count it down and take them. And once again, thanks for watching my show. You're in the know. I'm all Dave all night. Good night. Dave Live 11. I gave you a slice of heaven.